Welcome back to another video on AA learning. Today we're going to be sticking with another math topic, and this time algebra related again. And it's going to be kind of similar to long division that we did in the previous video. If you guys haven't watched it, you should check it out. But this time it's going to be synthetic division. So synthetic division is basically another form of polynomial division. That's like, it's seen as more shorter and like a shortcut, like many people like to take. And it's definitely easier, but it depends on how the problem is formed. And yeah, it's just basically easier form of long division. So this process though, it only works when the divisor, remember the divisor is like, if we have the fraction, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. The divisor would be like x minus a. It would be this portion. So synthetic division only works when the divisor, this part, is a linear binomial. So at this form of x minus a. So that's the only way you guys can use the synthetic division. Otherwise, you guys have to stick to the long division. Okay, so let's get into some examples then. Okay, I'm going to call this example 1. Okay, so the question is 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 5x plus 6 divided by x minus 2. Okay, so the first step when you're doing synthetic division is write down the coefficients of the dividend. Again, if you guys don't know what that is, dividend is the top part of, it's basically the numerator, and the coefficients are the numbers in front of these x terms. So like the 2, the 3, and then make sure you include like all the signs. So -5. Like when you're doing this, you're including the positive 3 here, the positive 2 here, and the 6 right here. So let's just write those coefficients down. 2, 3, -5, and 6. Okay. Now write the 0 of the divisor. So we have x minus 2. X minus 2. Let's set that equal to 0. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to solve basically for x. So we know x. So here, let me write it. So we can add 2 to both sides. Add 2. And we know x is equal to 2. So that's our that's our part in the that's gonna be an important part for us in the synthetic division. So now let's set up. So when we set up synthetic division, we usually form this like L shape. So we have like this. It's like a really long forced out L kinda. So this 2 term that we have right here, we put it to the front. So the divisor, once we solve for it to equal 0, we put it in the front here. And then the coefficients, we just write them out in the order we have. Always write them out in the order. So 2, and then it was 3, then -5, then 6. Okay, now that we set up the synthetic division. So the next thing we need to do is solve for it. So what we do in synthetic division when we solve is this first term, we just drop it down. So it just becomes 2 here. This part can get a little confusing, so make sure you guys are focused on this part or taking notes. So this is 2. This 2 just drops down right here. Then what you want to do is multiply this 2 by this one that you drop down right here. And that'll get you guys 4, obviously. You guys know that. And then 2 times 2, the 4 goes right here. So what you want to do, once this 4, so this basically, just as a recap, you multiply these 2 numbers right here, and you get 4. And you put this 4 right here. And then next thing you do, you add this term. 3 plus 4, we know that's 7. Now do the same thing. 2 times 7 we know is 14. So put the 14 right here and add these terms. -5 plus 14, we know is 9. And now same thing. 2 times 9, that's 18. And then we know adding those is 24. Okay, we have our numbers now. Now, we technically have our answer, but let me show you guys how you're supposed to write it. So this term right here is going to be your x squared. This term right here is going to be your x. This term right here is going to be your constant, and this term right here is going to be your remainder, r. So that makes sense because we're trying to divide this the numerator by this denominator, and this numerator has a exponent of 3 and this denominator has exponent of 1. So that should give us the remaining of exponent of 2. So the final answer would just be 2x squared plus 7x plus 9. And again, you write your remainder the same way. Plus 24, and then don't forget, divided by x minus 2. Okay, so that's how you would do it for this problem. So yeah, let's move on to the next problem. But synthetic division is definitely way faster compared to long division. But remember, it has to be like in, the divisor has to be a linear polynomial so that you can do it. Okay, so let's go to example 2. Okay, so the next example is going to be 4x to the 4th minus 7x squared plus 2x minus 9 divided by x plus 3. Okay, so this is our question. So again, let's write down the coefficient terms. So we have a 4 here, but we don't have an x cubed term. So when you don't have an x cubed term, always just put a filler 0, or not just x cubed, but you know, any term you don't have, and then it's like a continuous polynomial like this, then just put in a 0 as a placeholder. So our terms would actually be 4, the 0, negative 7, 2, and then negative 9. So those are our terms. And then we have the divisor right here. We just need to solve for it. So let's just do that again. So x plus 3 is equal to 0. Subtract 3 to both sides. And x is equal to negative 3. Okay, so now let's set up. Remember, it's the long L, like that. And then you have negative 3. And then write down all your terms in order. 4, 0, negative 7, 2, and negative 9. Okay, let's solve for this now. Again, remember, this 4 drops down here. So 4 goes down here. And then we multiply. 4 times negative 3. That gets us negative 12. So then the negative 12 plus 0, well, that's just negative 12. And then negative 12 times negative 3, that becomes positive 36. And 36 plus negative 7, that becomes 29. 29 times negative 3, that becomes negative 87. And then negative 87 plus 2, that becomes negative 85. And then negative 85 times negative 3, that becomes 225. And then we add that right there, and the remainder is 246. Okay, so now let's write it as also our final answer. So again, remember, this term is 4, the exponent is 4, and this is 1, so we should expect this to be x cubed. And then the other values follow, so that's x cubed, x squared, x, the constant, and then the remainder. So let's write our answer. So it should be 4x cubed minus 12x squared plus 29x minus 85 plus 246 divided by x plus 3. And that's our final answer. So yeah, this is definitely way easier than doing the long division. But remember, so like usually, like I said before, just be careful of what what you're dividing the numerator by. So let's go over our final example. Again, if you guys need more practice with this topic, there's gonna be a link in the comments for practice worksheet. So yeah. All right, let's label this example 3. All right, so this one is going to be 6x to the 5th plus 3x to the 4th minus 4x squared plus x plus 10. And that's all divided by x minus 2. Let's write down our terms again. So we have 6, 3, and we're missing the x cubed, so we just put in a 0 as a filler. And then negative 4, 1, and then 10. So those are terms. So now let's find the denominators part. So x minus 2 equals 0. X is equal to 2. Okay, now let's do the setup. So remember that long L shape. And then 6, 3, 0, negative 4, 1, and 10. Okay, now same process. If you guys want to solve it, all these problems, remember, make sure to pause ahead of time before I do it. But yeah. Okay, so this 6 drops down here. We know that. Multiply 6 times 2, that's 12. And then 12 plus 3, that's 15. 15 times 2, that's 30. And this 30 just drops down, 30 plus 0. And then 30 times 2, we know that's 60. And 60 plus negative 4, then we know that's 56. 56 times 2, we know that's 112. So 112 plus 1, we know that's 113. And 113 times 2, we know that's 226. And then we just add 226 plus 10, and that gets us 236. So let's just do the same process. We know this is a 5th power, this is a 1st power. So we should have this as a 4th power. X to the 4, x cubed, x squared, x, and this is the constant, and that's the remainder. So let's write this down. So it should be 6x to the 4th plus 15 x cubed plus 30 x squared plus 56x plus 113 plus 236 divided by x minus 2. And that is our final answer. Alright, so that was synthetic division. If you guys need more practice, again, there's going to be a link in the comments with a practice worksheet. And yeah, thank you so much.